NASCAR's back when we got controversy to talk about. Wow, what a wild start to the NASCAR season. First off, just want to get this out of the way. Number one, what a crowd. If you would have no idea that the race was postponed to Monday because it looked like it was sold out. It wasn't, but it looked like 95% of the people came back. I mean, huge congratulations, but thank you to those fans that came back, stuck around for the race. Second of all, the race itself, that was probably the best Daytona 500 in years and years. However, we do got to talk about the finish. Now, we're going to discuss what happened in this race. We're going to discuss it, later on in the video. But I know that the video or the point of the race that everyone wants to talk about is the finish. Coming off of turn number 4, heading into the final lap, you had William Byron out in the lead. Second place is Austin Cindric. Up top, Ross Chastain gets a good push from Alex Bowman. Chastain cuts down low, cuts off Cindric. Both the 1 and the 2 slide. The caution comes out as it crosses our finish line. That means the race ends under yellow, and William Byron wins the Daytona 500. His second win at Daytona, obviously his first 500 that he has won. The first time I think he has finished inside the top 20 in any of his 500 appearances. And what a 2-year run this guy has had. From 6 wins in 2023, the most of all drivers, making it to the championship 4, and now coming back to win the Daytona 500 on the same day of Hendrick Motorsports' 40th anniversary is incredible. Now, before I get into my thoughts on who won, because we do need to talk about this, I want to get into the actual drama regarding around NASCAR throwing the caution itself. Because there are a lot of people out there that were saying this was the worst 500 of all time, which, by the way, y'all forget 2001. They were saying that, this was a horrible way to a great race. It sucked, yada, yada, yada. They were blaming NASCAR like, oh, you should have let it go. Now, knowing NASCAR fans, we like to complain a lot. I know damn well that if NASCAR threw the caution before they crossed the start finish line, y'all would have came at NASCAR's throats for saying, oh, why are you trying to make this all about drama, trying to make a show out of everything. Like what we saw in the Truck Series, I think 1 or 2 years ago, where they threw the caution right before they crossed the start finish line. They were screwed regardless. If NASCAR, some people were saying, well, why don't they let NASCAR just race it out? They have done in the past where they have thrown the caution for a crash. Y'all would have called out NASCAR if they didn't throw the caution. If they didn't throw the caution and let them race, y'all probably would have called them out for saying, oh, there were cars wrecked, why didn't you throw the flag, yada, yada. I genuinely believe a lot of this is stemming from the winner, William Byron. If it was another driver like a Corey LaJoie, an Alex Bowman, or a Kyle Busch, there'd be less outrage based on the winner. I think 90% of the hatred of the finish is based on the winner. Now, here's another question I have for you. Did NASCAR crown the wrong winner? What do I mean by this? All right, well, again, let's take a look at the footage. Let's go frame by frame. Now, it is clear as day, the race ends on the caution. But what many people are speculating is the moment of caution, because when the lights turn on, let's stop right here, lights turn on, the 48 of Alex Bowman is actually ahead of William Byron. Now, there is a bit of confusion to this. If you look at the rule book, of NASCAR's rule book, it states that the caution is light. The field is frozen when the caution lights are illuminated. However, you look back to last year's 500, Mike Joy said this.
It is not the flag, it is not the caution lights. It is NASCAR's decision as to where those 2 cars were when the button was pushed to activate the caution.
So according to that, the caution is displayed when NASCAR hit the button. Now, obviously, when NASCAR hit the button is lined up to correlate, who was ahead when they hit that button. But it's confusing because the rulebook says one thing, what Mike Joy said last year says another story. What actually is it? Is a moment of caution the button? Is a moment of caution when the lights turn on? Because we are getting 2 completely different stories. It's also interesting that Fox never showed the actual finish. I can actually show the footage of what Fox showed. They show Byron taking the white flag, but then they cut away when the actual caution lights came on during their replay. So that part was a bit confusing, that why didn't they just show the caution? And of course, as I say this in the middle of recording, NASCAR has posted the photo that they used to determine who won the 500. And as you can see, the caution lights are on. And although it's just barely 6/1000ths of a second, William Byron is the winner of the Daytona 500. So no conspiracy, no Bowman got robbed. William Byron wins the Daytona 500. Yeah, this is going to be a controversial end to what was, again, like I said, one of the best 500s in a long time. Now, personally, let's not include the winner. Me personally, would I like for NASCAR to finish the race under green? Yes, but you can't always get what you want. Now, I know the last time that the Daytona 500 ended under green with no green white checker was 2017, which is kind of pathetic to think about that. But again, you can't always get what you want. I'm just happy it was the Daytona 500 and not the Daytona 530. So I'll take it. But let's talk about the race as a whole. First off, let's talk about Fox. Kevin Harvick, major plus to the broadcast booth. He brought in so much information, and I think he helped elevate Clint Bowyer. I think Harvick's ability to focus on the race and to provide details about the race made Bowyer kind of also focus on the race, because, you know, when they were having that rotational special guest, Bowyer was kind of he was just doing his thing, but he wasn't really adding anything. But with Harvick now in the booth, I think it kind of helped Bowyer kind of understand that, hey, let's talk about the race. Let's give, you know, great details and information. Mike Joy, I felt like with Harvick in the booth, brought some new life to Mike Joy. The way those three were calling that race was really, really good. I think this is the best version of Fox from the booth wise we have seen in quite some time. Production wise, Fox is still trash. Too many onboard cameras. So many close-up shots. I don't even want to get into the commercials. I know we had to discuss with commercials. There's nothing we can do about it, but it's still very annoying. But I will say the production from Fox as a whole was a lot better. Still needs a lot of work, but at least the booth is very enjoyable to hear from the ear. So I'll give Fox credit on that. Now, let's talk about the race. The race, like I said, one of the best 500s in a long time. The race started out so weird. Stage one was fuel saving. I know, stage one, 6 or 40 laps or something like that. In a 200 lap race, they were saving fuel. The caution came out on lap 6 when Brad Keselowski decided to commit murder once again, like he did in the duels. Keselowski hits John Hunter Nemechek, who hits Harrison Burton, who then gets in the cars and hosts a fire and creates a multi-car accident, including those two drivers, Kaz Grala, Ryan Preece, Austin Dillon, and Jimmy Johnson, who cannot catch a break for his life, gets caught up in a crash on lap 6. After that, again, we went to fuel saving mode. I mean, the lead drivers were running at around 170 something miles an hour at Daytona, and they were going 30-40% throttle. I mean, it was shocking. I couldn't believe it. AJ Allmendinger, who I think had a penalty or something like that, but he was not with the lead pack. He was by himself and was running nearly 2 seconds faster than the pack, and he was by himself. The pack as a whole was running 3 seconds slower than normal. They could easily be at around 195, something like that, but they were going around 170. Again, it was confusing, but it was oddly satisfying because strategy taking place. It created a lot of different strategies for different drivers when they came onto pit road for how much fuel you need, yada, yada. It broke the pack up tremendously. You had different groups and different packs. Really made it for a compelling stage one. I would have liked for it to be no stage cautions to see how that strategy would develop over time, but I thought it was a very intriguing start to the 500. Certainly one of the weirdest starts to the 500 I have ever seen. But we still got some good racing, especially at the end where there was a great battle between Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, and those drivers. Chase Elliott would end up winning stage 1. Stage 2, typical Daytona, it gets a bit more intense, especially near the end of stage 2. Everything was really calm, a lot of good side-by-side racing. The Fords were just dominant. Near the end of the race, Austin Cindric and Ryan Blaney, they were up towards the front. Again, aggressive, intense racing near the end of stage 2. And on the final lap, Ryan Blaney made a great pass to get underneath Austin Cindric to take the lead and win stage 2. And stage 3, unbelievable. Stage 3 was unreal, the racing that we saw. I mean, for the first 2 stages of the race, I would really kind of compile it down to dominated by the Ford, specifically, drivers like Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski. You can throw in a mixture of Ross Chastain and so on, but it was mainly the Fords that really dominated stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 3 was a mixture of really everyone, but Ford was still up front. You had new contenders like Denny Hamlin, AJ Allmendinger that got back up towards the front. Chastain was more of a factor in stage 3, and other new drivers like Daniel Hemrick and Corey LaJoie were also making some noise up towards the front. And we saw some great 3-wide racing, but those two damn Fords of Logano and Keselowski were just so OP that it didn't matter where they are, they always find a way to get back to the front and stay at the front. And things got really intense after that final pit stop. I think it was around maybe 15 or so laps ago, maybe a bit earlier than that. I mean, the racing was, like I said, so intense and so beautiful to watch, the racing that we saw in the closing laps of this race. But you also knew the way they were racing, it wasn't going to last long, and it didn't. With 9 laps to go, Alex Bowman gets shoves William Byron, but the bumper's in the line, so Byron gets sideways. He slams into Keselowski, who then hits Logano, creating the big one. 15 cars, I believe, or 18 cars in total involved in this wreck. It brought out the red flag, some really tough shots. Todd Gillen, who also had a fast car, was involved. Daniel Suarez, I think Chase Elliott, and I think Austin Cindric barely snuck through it. But you had a lot of good cars taken up, especially the 6 and the 22, who were the class of the field, specifically from the Ford camp. And then we had the restart with 4 laps to go with Chastain and Byron. They were side by side throughout the entire thing, but Byron was able, with help from Bowman, to get out ahead. And then that's how we got into where we were for the final lap. So this is the results. A 1-2 finish for Hendrick Motorsports. William Byron wins. Alex Bowman, man, oh so close, comes home in second, his second straight top 5 finish in the 500. Christopher Bell in third. Corey LaJoie, great one for him, in fourth. Bubba Wallace, who finished fifth after was really at the back for a majority of stage 3, or at least near the second half of stage 3, was actually on the verge of running out of fuel until the big one came out. So that was a good luck break for him. Like I said, ends up finishing in 5th. AJ Allmendinger in 6th, John Hernimachik and teammate Eric Jones 7th and 8th, Noah Gregson and teammate Chase Briscoe the top 10, Kyle Larson 11th, Kyle Busch in 12th, Zane Smith, Chase Elliott, and Martin Truex Jr. the top 15, Daniel Hemrick and everyone else, these drivers that were caught up with that crash with 9 to go. You saw Truex, Hemrick, Gibbs, Buescher, Hamlin, and Reagan the top 20, and then Chastain and Austin Cindric, who crashed on the final lap, finishes 21st and 22nd. Everyone on back is either 1 or multiple laps down. Ryan Preece, Riley Herbst, Josh Berry, Justin Haley, Anthony Alfredo, Jimmy Johnson, Tyler Reddick, and Ryan Blaney, the top 30. And then finally, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Joey Logano, man, tough break for him, finishes 32nd, as well as Brad Keselowski, also a tremendous car in 33rd. Daniel Suarez, Todd Gillen, Michael McDowell, who had an electrical issue early in the race, finishes 36th. Austin Dillon, Kaz Grala, Harrison Byrne, and Carson Hocevar, the final 2 drivers in the field. So yeah, overall my thoughts on this race, loved it. Again, I thought it was the best Daytona 500 in a long time. Certainly the best Daytona 500, the next gen car. I mean, great racing, intense racing, especially those last 20 or so laps were just amazing to watch. And we had a big crash. But I mean, look at the amount of crashes we had. We had 5 cautions, I think, in this race. We had 5 cautions. That is the least amount of cautions in the Daytona 500 since 2004. So is it completely back to the mid-2000s style of racing? No, but I mean, I will say, this is the cleanest Daytona has been in a long time in terms of the Daytona 500. I'm glad that we didn't get a wreck fest. We didn't get 3-4 overtimes like we've seen for years past. I'm glad that we had a great 500 finish. Yes, it sucked that the race didn't end under green. It sucked that it didn't end under green. I would have loved for it to end under green, but I felt like when Cindric came back across the racetrack and made heavy contact with other cars, I felt like NASCAR, they had to throw the caution. Because if NASCAR really was trying to throw the caution, that caution light would have came on like that. It would have came on. I felt like NASCAR, to me, if you take a look at when the green light caution came off, meaning the moment when they hit the button, was way too late. If NASCAR truly was very trigger happy, they would have done that as soon as Chastain and Cindric went down into the grass. They wouldn't have done it. They would not have waited so long for them to throw the caution. So that's why part of me doesn't feel like NASCAR was very trigger happy. But but that's just my opinion. I felt like if Cindric and Chastain would have stayed on the grass, they would have NASCAR would have let it go green. But when they came back across the racetrack, especially Cindric, I felt like they had to throw the caution. Evidence based on the fact that they waited so long to throw the caution. I just find it hard to believe that they were trying to be trigger happy to get it before they took the white flag. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. I'm probably in the minority, but the finish sucked. But it does not, I think, hamper what was a fantastic Daytona 500 to watch. But that's just my opinion. What are your thoughts on the race? Let me know in the comment section down below. Did you like it? Did you not? What are parts did you like about it? What are parts that you didn't like about it? But I can tell you one thing. I'm excited for the 2024 season to start. Man, we got Atlanta next week. But hey, at least we don't have any weather issues for next week. At least I hope not. Knock on wood. But I think this was a great start to the 24 season. Again, tremendous crowd for a Monday late afternoon race. Tremendous crowd. I was not expecting that many people to return to Daytona following the rain out on Sunday. But great race, and I'm excited for the season to start. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, my name is Jet from MDK. Thanks for watching.